We are at Dalton level of craziness here in New York City. I can't believe this is actually happening. I'm just going to show you the video.
Just 9 days ago, Friday the 13th, Mayor Eric Adams swore in Thomas Donlon as the NYPD's interim commissioner. 1 week after that, the feds searched his home.
And this is just the latest search and seizure for several investigations targeting the NYPD and members of Mayor Adams's inner circle.
Just 9 days after being sworn in. You can't make this up. The FBI raided the home of the interim NYPD commissioner. How is this even happening? Is this a joke? It feels almost scripted. What's going on here? And New York City said, like, you know what, Dalton? Hold my beer. We're gonna go crazier. Is this something out of a political thriller book or something? Corruption is running so deep that even newly appointed officials can't escape a scrutiny. What makes this situation even harder to believe that is this dude was meant to restore the order after all the chaos that's been plagued the Adams administration and the NYPD. You would expect him to be a safe choice, a person picked to steady the ship. Yet here we are, 9 days later, and his house is being searched. What the hell is going on? The feds must know something. To go to this guy's home is a serious move. It signals to me that the federal authorities are looking at more than just the surface level of this scandal. For Adams to have this happen again within his administration begs the question, why is he still here? Why hasn't he stepped down yet? Is the corruption so deep that even those who brought in to clean up the mess is already tainted? What makes this situation even worse is that this is not an isolated incident. This is a part of a larger pattern of federal raids that targeting NYPD and Adams' closest advisors. It's beyond comprehension how Adams can continue to justify his appointments, even his job when his administration seems to be under constant federal investigations. It's outrageous.
Well, Joe and Tanya, one of the homes of the interim police commissioner is here on the Upper East Side. In a shocking move, the feds swooped in 2 days ago and seized materials from his residences. Now, Thomas Donlon was supposed to provide a break from these scandalous headlines, but now he is drawing unwanted attention to himself. Thomas Donlon. He was sworn in as the interim top cop on Friday, September 13th. Exactly a week later, the feds moved in and seized materials in his possession. According to a statement released from Donlon, quote, on Friday, September 20th, federal authorities executed search warrants at my residence.
Unbelievable.
They took materials that came into my possession approximately 20 years ago and are unrelated to my work with the New York City Police Department.
So Donlon's defense of the situation makes it even more confusing and, again, unbelievable. He claims that the materials the FBI seized from his home was from 20 years ago and unrelated to his current role with the NYPD. But let's pause and think about that for a moment. How can a man in the position, newly sworn in as the interim NYPD commissioner, not foresee that having materials in his possession that are worthy of an FBI raid would raise massive red flags? Even if these items are, as he claims, unrelated to his job, the timing and the optics of this situation are just plain terrible. Is it more about Donlon's past or Mayor Adams' judgment in appointing him in the first place? Did no one in Adams' administration go through a thorough background check? Was there any consideration what might have come out from this man, especially when the mayor's office is already under intense scrutiny for corruption? Adams needed to appoint someone beyond reproach to help fix the public perception that his administration and the NYPD are not corrupt. But instead, we have more questions than answers. Again, this guy's home was raided within a week of his appointment. It shows how deeply flawed the selection process was. And what's more troubling is that it's not just an isolated incident. So many people in Adams' circle is being investigated. If Donlon's past could lead to this, what other skeletons might be hiding in Adams' team? And right now, the public is only getting vague explanations and deflections right now.
Department. For 3 decades, Donlon rose through the ranks of the FBI, eventually becoming the head of Homeland Security for New York State. The mayor tapped someone outside the NYPD to temporarily oversee the city's finest after the previous commissioner, Edward Caban, was pressured to step down. Caban and his brother are currently being investigated by the feds. If Mayor Adams was hoping the selection of someone outside the department would give him a politically safe landing for the time being, It lasted only a week. It is highly alarming for federal investigators to seize evidence from city officials, but there have been so many targeted, it is hard to keep track. The mayor himself has had his electronic devices taken, same with his chief fundraiser, his school's chancellor, David Banks, Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Phil Banks III, and a third Banks brother, a lobbyist, have all been visited by the feds.
At this point, who can keep up? I can't keep up. It's hard to keep track of how many people in Eric Adams' administration have been targeted by federal investigators. The FBI has taken devices not from just the mayor, but all the people, chief fundraiser, school chancellors, deputy mayors, everyone that worked with this man is being investigated by the feds. The fact that this investigation has reached so many high-ranking officials is mind-boggling. It's not just one or two individuals. This is a systematic issue that reaches the very top of Adams' inner circle. And now, with this newly appointed NYPD commissioner, the man appointed to help stabilize the NYPD is now added to that list. This is a crisis. This is a crisis. The public's trust in an administration is already on shaky ground. But with each new raid, it seems like daily, in these investigations, it crumbles even further. How can Mayor Adams continue to govern effectively when nearly everyone around him is being investigated by the feds? It's one thing if it was a few bad actors to be caught, but this is beginning to believe that this is a widespread problem of corruption and misconduct, and Adams may need to step down. This is just ridiculous. At this stage, you have to ask, how much more is going to come out? We already seen the mayor's close advisors. We already see this is going on. How deep does this go? The fact that Adams hasn't been more transparent or proactive in addressing these investigations is troubling to say the least.
And Sheena Wright, who is first deputy mayor and who lives with the school's chancellor, has also had evidence taken. This list is not comprehensive, and more officials could find themselves entangled in the crosshairs. All this setting off calls for Adams to resign, which he refuses to do. Meanwhile, Donlon says of the investigation into his past, quote, "This is not a department matter, and the department will not be commenting."
As we're seeing more and more raids, more devices being taken, and evidence collected, it's almost surreal that no one has been indicted yet, but give it some time. The feds, at this point, I think they know what's going on. Obviously, there's been smoke, there's fire. Eventually, something's going to get caught here. Someone's going to be indicted. And it's interesting, how is it that the FBI is closing in on so many of these high-ranking officials, yet we still don't have the details, but eventually, I believe it will come out, especially with the indictment. The FBI moves at a slow pace. And yes, I think this slow pace of the investigation only adds to the sense of unease surrounding the Adams administration. What exactly are the feds uncovering that's taking so long? And why hasn't anyone faced formal charges yet? But I believe that eventually we'll see some indictments. And I think Adams may have to step down as mayor. Right now, the investigation creates a sense of limbo. On one hand, the lack of indictments may seem like nothing is seriously happening, but on the other, the sheer volume of search warrants in the raids tell us that something major is going on behind the scenes. It's hard to trust that Adams and his team are innocent when the FBI is involved in their affairs to this degree. And the question for Adams, where's the transparency? Where are the press conferences to explain what's going on and why so many people in his administration are being targeted? He can't pretend that everything is just okay. Instead, we're waiting for another shoe to drop, and every day that goes without an indictment or a clear resolution, that just deepens the uncertainty. Calls for Adams to step down are growing louder with each passing day, and I think this point for good reason. The integrity of his administration there is no integrity. There's too many people caught up in this situation, and Adams' refusal to take responsibility is just making it worse for him. And it looks like more officials could find themselves in the crosshairs at some point, and the pressure on Adams will be too much to ignore. This is just a ridiculous situation. New York City has too much issues to deal with now than a mayor involved in so much corruption and so much nonsense. But let me know what you guys think about this. Put in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.